Today, we're going to talk about one of the most misunderstood aspects of selling a home. That is real estate negotiations. Now, before you think you know what this is all about, the offers, counteroffers, and a back and forth tug of war, I want you to pause for a moment. Negotiation isn't really about who wins and who loses. In fact, that's the wrong lens entirely. If you want to walk away from a home sale with peace of mind and the results you're hoping for, you have to think about negotiations as something far more nuanced. I'm going to share a perspective that reframes the way sellers can think about this process. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll walk away with a more sophisticated understanding that can actually help you protect what matters most to you while still creating a win-win. When most people hear the word negotiation, they immediately assume the other side is trying to take something from them. They brace for battle almost like they're going into a contest of strength where whoever pushes harder gets more. But the truth is, in most negotiations, people aren't trying to win at your expense. What they're really trying to do is protect themselves, protect their time, protect their money, protect their sense of status, reputation, or even just their ego. As sellers, this is one of the most important things to understand. Buyers don't just come to the table with a desire to gain. They come to the table with unspoken expectations they're trying not to lose. This is where so many negotiations stall unnecessarily. Offers don't fall apart because of the actual numbers on the page. They fall apart because one side is comparing the offer in front of them not to a better alternative, but to an expectation that's never even been surfaced. Maybe it's a buyer who expected certain repairs to be included. Maybe it's a seller who assumed the price should reflect the neighbor's sale, even though the properties aren't truly comparable. The friction doesn't come from the exchange. It comes from the unspoken expectations underneath. So what do we do with this? Well, one of the most powerful shifts you can make as a seller is to stop thinking about negotiations as a matter of price and instead see them as a matter of value. Price is just a number. Value is the total package of what's being exchanged between you and the buyer. The home itself, of course, but also timing, contingencies, repairs, personal property, and peace of mind. These are all part of the value equation. And here's the key. The negotiation moves forward smoothly when both parties perceive that the value they're getting is equal to what they're giving. Now, obviously, information has to be shared on both sides. And that balance, that sense of fairness is what creates a win-win. Now, from a seller's perspective, your instinct is naturally to protect, and that's appropriate. You've invested not just financially, but emotionally in your home. You want to protect the return you feel is fair, protect the integrity of the deal, and protect yourself from regrets down the line. But protection doesn't mean rigidity. It means clarity. The role of your agent in this process, my role when I represent sellers, is to slow the negotiation down just enough to bring clarity before motion. What does that mean? It means before reacting to an offer or a counteroffer, we dig deeper into what the other side is really asking for and what the non-negotiables are for you as a seller. That way, we're not just responding to the noise. And let's talk about that noise because it shows up often. Concessions, things like the buyer asking for additional repairs, pushing for closing cost credits, or throwing in unusual contingencies, especially at the last minute, are not always progress in disguise. Sometimes they're simply an expression of anxiety or a placeholder for a deeper, unspoken concern. The skill is in recognizing whether the request is meaningful or if it's just noise. If it's meaningful, we explore how to balance it with something valuable to you. If it's noise, we acknowledge it, but don't let it derail the negotiation. This is where having an experienced agent at the table really matters, because objectivity and calmness can keep the deal moving when emotions threaten to take over. Now, for sellers, one of the most powerful strategies is to establish a meaningful benchmark before negotiations even begin. That benchmark isn't just about your ideal price, it's about your ideal outcome. Ask yourself, what timing do I need to feel comfortable? What terms matter to me beyond dollars and cents? And would I rather close quickly, or am I willing to be flexible for a buyer who offers a stronger price? Once you have those benchmarks clearly defined, you can weigh every concession and every offer against them. Suddenly, the noise becomes easier to filter out because you know exactly what matters to you. Another key strategy is to remember that negotiations don't have to be confrontational. They can be collaborative if approached with the right mindset. Instead of